Hi, I'm Andrew with Infinity Cutting Tools. As woodworkers, one of the most popular projects we make are rail and stile doors. A lot of woodworkers have questions on exactly how to go about sizing their workpieces and making rail and stile doors for their projects. Today I'm going to show you how I go about making rail and stile doors here in our shop using Infinity's two-piece rail and stile router bit set. Infinity's two-piece rail and stile router bit sets share a lot of great features, including micrograin carbide that holds an edge exceptionally well, computer designed bodies that help reduce kickback so they're safer to run. They all feature a 1/2-inch shank for durability and smooth operation, and a non-stick coating to help them be easier to keep clean. Rail and stile doors are a pretty simple construction. They consist of 3 main parts: a set of stiles, which are the vertical pieces of the door, a set of rails, which are the top and bottom pieces of the door, and of course a panel. Sizing these pieces of material is pretty straightforward. You first decide what the overall size of your door needs to be. In our case, we're going to make a door that measures 24 inches tall by about 18 inches wide. Once you know those dimensions, you also need to determine the width of your rails and stiles. A very common dimension for these pieces is about 2 1/4 inches wide. With these dimensions, we can determine how long to make our rails and stiles. Now that we know the overall size of our door and also the width of our rails and stiles, we need to determine how long all these pieces need to be. Our door is going to be 18 inches wide by 24 inches long. The stiles, therefore, are going to be the full length of the door, so they'll be 24 inches. The rails, on the other hand, are housed in between the stiles, so they're going to be a bit shorter. To determine how long these pieces need to be, we first need to determine the overall width, which again is 18. Then we need to determine how wide the profile is that our router bits make. In the case of the Infinity two-piece rail and stile bit sets, it's going to be 7/16 of an inch wide. Therefore, we're going to take 18 inches, subtract 2 1/4 inches off of each side, which is 4 1/2 inches for the stiles. And we're going to add back 7/16 of an inch on either side, which is 7/8 of an inch, to get the overall length of our rail, which should be 14 3/8 of an inch. The first cut we need to make in our pieces is the rail cut. This is made with the rail cutting router bit, which is labeled on the shank of all the Infinity rail and stile router bits, so you know which bit is used to make which cut. The rail cut is actually made in the ends of the rails so that they'll fit into the profile or stile cut in the stiles. This is what gives us a great deal of glue surface for a very strong joint between the pieces. I like to make this cut first because if there's any chip out on the exit of the cut as the workpiece exits the bit, the stile cut made along the grain will remove any of that damage. I'm over here at the router table and I'm ready to make the rail cuts in my workpieces. To do this, I'm going to be using an Infinity Pro coping sled. This holds my workpiece nice and secure. The visor references off of the fence of my router table and ensures that I get a really nice clean cut in the cross grain or in grain cut of my rails. To set up my router bit's height, I'm going to be using the included setup block that comes with the Infinity two-piece rail and stile router bit sets. Let me show you exactly how I use this block to set up my bits. When using a coping sled, you'll need to adjust the bit height up to allow for the thickness of the base of the coping sled. Infinity offers a setup block specifically cut to the exact same thickness as the coping sled base so that it raises your setup block to the proper height. It eliminates all the guesswork when using a coping sled. The setup block that comes with the Infinity two-piece rail and stile bit sets is perfectly matched to the profile of rail and stile set that you're using, and it will allow you to adjust the bit height so that it matches your setup block to get a perfect cut. With my bit height set, I'm just going to adjust my fence. I'm going to use a ruler up against the bearing in the router bit, slide my fence forward till it's flush with the ruler, lock it down, and I'm ready to go. I'm going to take my coping sled, run the visor up against the edge of my fence, then slide my workpiece in and all the way up till it hits my fence. Then I'm going to lock my clamps down and I'm ready to cut. When using rail and style router bits, I like to run them at about 18,000 RPM. This is about 3/4 of the way between slowest speed and full speed on a variable speed router. When setting the height of my style bit, I like to use my rail rather than the setup block. This ensures that I eliminate any variables and my rail and style cuts should come out as a perfect match. Just like with the rail bit, I use my ruler against the bearing to set my fence. If you've seen any of our other videos here at Infinity, you know we're big fans of Gibson's clear-cut stock guides. They do a great job of holding our workpiece down to the table and tight against the fence. The style cut gets made on the interior portion of all 4 pieces of our frame. Here's our finished frame. You can see all of our joints are cut to make a nice solid frame. It's ready for a panel. Infinity offers their 2-piece rail and style router bit sets in 6 great profiles, so you'll be able to find the perfect solution for your next project. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel and check out our blog for more information on this project as well as many others that we work on here at Infinity Tools. Also, check us out on Facebook and give us a like to stay up to date on what's going on here at Infinity.